Okay, so we looked at the course syllabus in the last video. Let's go over here and now let's take a brief look at the course calendar. I've got some other videos I'll upload about some of this other information, particularly the ones that apply to us. But right now I want to focus on the course calendar one. So go ahead and click on this. I'll scroll down. You'll see this is where the video will appear eventually. And you'll see here that I have provided a fully just PDF copy, straight, pretty much exactly the same thing as what you're about to see here. So if you scroll down here, what you should just basically get a general idea of, here is a rough rundown of some of the things we're going to cover this week. Typically, I will expand upon a lot of this stuff later on as we get into each week. Every time we begin a week, I'll kind of elaborate on some of this and how I want this to break down. But typically, because this is an online class, a lot of this will be kept in generalities and be left up to you. So you'll see here for week one that the general layout is a little bit of an introduction syllabus review, which is why you should probably be watching this video right now, followed with probably another video lecture discussing use of graphic novels. We'll talk about what a graphic novel is. We'll talk a little bit about preliminary research, because before you select a graphic novel, and we talk about where you'll go to select it, I want to get you in the mindset that making sure that the graphic novel you select is one that works for you. Because there's a lot more to it than, say, superheroes. That's one of the things we'll talk about. There's a lot more to it. And, of course, this will become a major process in helping you determine what works best for you. We'll also be looking at chapters 1 through 4 of Scott McCloud. We'll have some preliminary discussion forums up on there, primarily dealing with this stuff like the graphic novel stuff. We'll get in the process of looking at your graphic novel. We'll talk about Report 1. We'll talk a little bit about analysis, because that may be new to you. And I've got a reading for They Say, I Say, chapters 12, 13, and 1 going into next week. And you'll see here at the very bottom in red, I've got a little thing, and it's blue on the PDF document. But basically a little rundown that by Sunday I'll want you to have made your graphic novel selection that you're going to read, and go ahead and start reading it, and obviously post. The reason I ask people to post their selections is to make sure that if you pick something correctly, but also if I happen to come across anything or have suggestive ideas, this lets me help you out in that way as well. You'll see here going into week 2, right out the bat, we'll start looking at McCloud's chapters 5 through 6. You'll see here class discussions. These will be some of the things we'll be looking at in our discussion forums on Moodle, such as chapter 1, and we'll look back at McCloud chapters 1 through 4. We'll start talking about moving from your topic to your research question, your thesis statement. We'll assign report 2. You'll be more readings, and you'll see that report 1 will be due that Friday. Week 3, same thing. There's some at the top. There's some discussions here in bold. There's some of the things we'll be assigning. We'll be looking at report 3. We'll talk about the research process. We'll talk about the writing workshop process. And just to give you a heads up on that, it's basically a way for me to sort of help you build your paper as we move along. We'll look at writing workshops 1 and 2. These will be things that you'll be sharing in the following week's discussion forums. And basically writing workshops 1 and 2 is basically the introduction, the background section of your paper. Basically, we'll start working on your paper. We'll also assign the group work projects and the group work groups, and you'll see that report 2 is due that Friday. Moving into week 4, you'll see same thing. We'll start getting in some MLA formatting, which we'll be talking throughout. Getting into argumentation, working on writing workshop 3. Moving into week 5, we'll start wrapping things up, and this will be the last time we'll have class discussions, because week 6 is basically going to be jammed in with the material of finishing up the class. And so you'll see here, just to get yourself prepared, starting at the beginning of that week, starting on Sunday night, they'll basically be running till, say, Tuesday night, an opportunity for you to do peer review, which is where you'll be sharing what you have at that point with your classmates. Wednesday night, you'll turn a rough draft into me. Then I'll get it back to you. And then Friday night, you'll turn in the final draft. And then that following Saturday, we'll wrap everything up by having the group work submitted. And we will go ahead and have our final exam on MLA formatting that same time. And of course, along the way, I'll be providing you things, and there'll be a checklist for the final paper. Though also, I don't have it on here, there'll be a review for the final exam and things of that nature. But keep in mind, this whole thing, folks, is that this is 6 weeks. and things are going to move fast. So you need to be on top of this information going from the get-go. So please pay close attention, and if there are questions, do not wait, okay, until week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5. You have a question, you need to ask it ASAP and make sure that we get a clear understanding of what you need to do. So like I said, beginning week 1, even though it looks a little lackadaisical, it's going to get serious real quickly. So please be prepared for this to move at an accelerated pace. And again, if there's any questions or issues that come up, you need to get in contact with me as soon as possible. All right.